So I was just reading this article in the Financial Times and something came up in it that I wanted to talk about quickly. The article is about prediction markets for elections, which work a bit like betting odds in that they produce predicted probabilities that each candidate will win an election, which are based on what are essentially bets that people have placed on that happening. It gives the example of the recent New York mayor election, where prediction markets were giving the eventual winner Zoran Mamdani about a 94% chance of winning, which means if you bet 94 cents on that outcome happening, then when it happened, you would get $1 in return. The article mentions the possibility that when people hear about these kinds of probabilities, they might become more likely to vote for the candidate that's expected to win, in what it refers to as a bandwagon effect. Now, this is a bit like a bat signal for me because I literally wrote a whole PhD thesis about the bandwagon effect. Now, the point mentioned here that the evidence on this is mixed is exactly right. People have been researching this effect since like the 1940s, and we still don't have a conclusive answer. And that's because of variations in methods used, the fact that the effect is likely to be quite small, so it's hard to find, and just the fact that, for reasons I won't bore you with, studying this kind of effect is really, really hard. But there's also the possibility that the bandwagon effect works a little differently from how we were thinking about it for a long time. What the study that's linked here in the article shows isn't that people are more likely to vote for a party because they believe it's going to win the election. It's that people become more likely to vote for a party when led to believe that that party has recently become more popular in the polls, so when they're led to believe that it has some kind of momentum. Now, this is a key difference because a party might have loads of momentum without ever looking likely to win the election. Think back to last year, the general election in the UK. Reform UK was growing in the polls throughout the campaign. It was becoming more and more popular. More and more people were saying they were going to vote for Reform UK. But the Labour Party was always looking set for a landslide. So Reform UK had momentum, but it never looked like it was going to win the election. And it never was, and it didn't. Although that being said, I have published research showing that even this kind of momentum can raise people's expectations that a party might win an election. And there is promising recent research suggesting that this kind of momentum can be self-perpetuating. So as people hear that a party is becoming more and more popular, that in itself makes them more likely to vote for the party. Now, this research is not conclusive by any means, and any such effect is likely to be quite small. Plus, these studies have pretty much all been conducted in proportional representation systems like Germany, the Netherlands, and Denmark, which work a bit differently from what we have in the UK or what they have in the US, so we can't necessarily assume that we would observe the same kinds of effects here. But the finding is still promising, and it certainly merits more research to see exactly what's going on here and whether it might also happen in countries like the UK and US.